Hello and welcome again to another episode of Off the Air with Albie There. My name is Albie There, your host, and today we're here in location at the Cove on the beautiful peninsula of Palos Verdes, California. Alongside me today is a former nursing coordinator at Little Company of Mary Hospital, a freelance writer with her own blog titled Endless Sessions, and her most recent published accomplishments in one of surfing's most respected magazine, the Surfer's Journals, for her own write-up titled The Streak. Ladies and gentlemen, I please ask you to give a warm welcome for today's special guest, Miss Morgan SLIFF. Morgan, good morning, and thank you for being here on the show with me today. We really appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Albie.
How you been?
I've been good. Just surfing a lot, working a lot.
Sure you have. You know, wait a minute. Are we like sabotaging your streak right now by having you here as far as like, you got time today, right?
I got the
There's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, again, I really want to talk into and really sink my teeth into this streak that you're famous for recently. Now, is it true that you've been doing it for over 6 years, surfing every day?
every day over 6 years, yes.
That is amazing. Whatever it takes, you're out in the water.
Yeah.
Can we just get into that? Like, I want to ask you, how did you get involved in starting this streak as a young surfer?
Sure. Well, I guess a bit of the backstory is, I grew up in the South Bay, loved surfing from the time I was a little girl. My grandma was from Hawaii, and like her house was like a Hawaiian museum.
Oh,
It was like
okay.
when I was a little girl, I would just like flip through her books, and I'm like so enamored with all the stuff that she had. And my godmother, Wendy Gilly, she was a professional surfer, a longboarder for the Dewey Weber team. And so I grew up surfing, and I loved it so much. I was like obsessed from the time I was a little girl. Couldn't get me out of the water. I was always the first one in, last one out.
Yeah.
I love surfing so much, and I guess at a point in time, in my life, I maybe got too serious, and there were a lot of different variables at play. But I probably didn't surf for maybe about 5 years. Had to do with relationships, me taking my life way too seriously, trying to like grow up way too fast, and not having any fun whatsoever, right? So I just kind of like lost myself a lot for like 5 years, trying to like grow up and still exist in this community that all us locals are getting like priced out of, and I mean that's another story. But so yeah, just taking life way too seriously, and then I made some like pretty significant changes in my life when I was about 24, and then finally got back in the ocean with a board, like old single fin. After, gosh, it was like so long since I had surfed. Finally got back in the ocean because I was like, I can't take it anymore. I just need to I need to do something.
Yeah.
And I went to the water and got in, and it was like a revelatory experience. I was like,
Almost like being baptized in,
yeah,
huh?
I was like, what have I
You were
been
born
doing?
again.
What have I been doing? And so I was like surfing almost every day for like a whole month, and then in July of I think 2015, I was like, you know what, like this is making me feel so good. I haven't felt good in like a long time, and so I don't know, I'm gonna do this every day for a year. Like things will be different.
So that day, you officially said, you know what, hey, I'm going to go with this. I'm not only going to surf just the whole year. I'm going to keep going until I'm officially satisfied, or are you trying to break a Guinness record? Or I know people probably have asked you, why are you doing this, Morgan? What is your goal? What do you usually respond to them when they ask you that?
Oh gosh, like just for my own well-being,
You're not even thinking about this streak that everyone else more or less is talking about.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't really think about it too much. I know the first year was very much like keeping track of every day, like, and it was really fun because like I didn't know what Instagram was.
Oh, seriously?
Before that summer, and my friend like made me sign up for one, and so I was having a lot of fun in that first year, and like taking a picture and like whatever, and just keeping like a kind of a diary, I guess, of that first 365 days, and then writing about it on the blog.
That's what I was going to ask. In the blog, Endless Sessions, is that something that you shared with your audience and your viewers?
I had always wanted to be a writer when I grew up, but like when I started getting into college, and so it just didn't seem like the pragmatic approach. It didn't seem like, oh, I'm gonna find a career as a writer. I'm gonna like actually make money. And so I kind of started going into other areas of life that I just thought would make a little more sense. But then, you know, when I got this opportunity to write the blog, that really like re-sparked my love of writing, and it kind of just set me on a course of like, no, I feel like I can do this. And then like getting in the ocean every day, that was just like empowering me too. So I like really, you know, through the ocean, I guess I really found my calling as a writer too. I don't know.
Answers that maybe you couldn't answer before, or maybe some of the things that you were scared to jump in with both feet.
Yeah.
Just that camaraderie of going in and out of the water and that cleansing. You somehow spiritually got your answers, it sounds like.
So, yeah.
In these 6 years that you've been surfing, what have been some of the major challenges of, I mean, has every day been easy? You just get out there, get 1-2 waves and call it a day? Or, because I mean, we all know the surf comes in big, small forms.
Right.
Some days it's sunny, some days it's rainy. Explain to us, like, has there been any kind of big challenges in this trip that you've been taking on?
So I don't know why, like even in that first year, I was kind of just like a walking, ticking time bomb. I bowl in a china shop. I don't know, like when I'm in the water, I don't even really get hurt, but I'll just like be walking around and I'll just fall down the stairs or something, you know? And so I'm not the most graceful person at all whatsoever.
Maybe outside of the water, but when I've seen you surf, you look very graceful and very poetic. When I add just to add that in there.
Thank you very much. But yeah, on land, different story.
So the hardest part about surfing has been you walking to and from the beach then?
Probably. but so there have been like quite a few physical, emotional barriers and everything, and so I didn't know I was going to keep going after my year. Like I was just going to get there and see how it went, but I was like very determined to get to my year mark, and I was like, no matter what, I'm going to do this. And before that, I had problems with commitment. I just like, so I really wanted to commit to something and just see it through. Okay. And it was really important for me. But 6 weeks before my year mark, I was out on a small day and my body was just really, really, really tired, and like things weren't feeling right. And I lost my board, and a wave like kind of pulled my arm out of like with a wave and the board combined, and it turned out that I tore my shoulder. Thankfully it wasn't like the worst tear, but I was like one arm paddling and
were you doing circles? You kind of paddle?
People were like coming. Well, so anyways, it kind of took a village to like
keep it going.
Yeah, but I was like so grateful for like my little surf family that didn't you know, let me falter or anything. But so that was one. I've had knee surgery, a broken foot, like
the list goes on and on with these injuries then.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been the easiest of journeys then.
No.
By any means. I know that you wrote in your article with the Surfer's Journal that you lost a toe in Mexico scraping on the reef or something. Is that right?
I lost a toenail. It was kind of crazy. I wanted to go out the easy way. It was pretty big. It was like, well, I mean, big for me.
Let me interrupt you real quick. What is big for you? Like, is it when it's overhead and pumping? Are you out there on your longboard and getting out there and just amped? Or?
I like to surf like some overhead waves on my longboard.
So you like energy?
I do like energy, but I don't like to go too much farther than that. I'm actually trying maybe this winter. Last winter I wanted to, but then I hurt my knee and then had to have surgery and everything. Mm-hmm. So like that was a little tough. But I do want to start surfing some like bigger waves with maybe a shortboard or something. I'm not really like gunning for big waves or anything.
No, I know you definitely.
I get kind of scared.
I will respect that. I will understand why too, because the surf, anything out there, the variables are all upon her. You know what I mean? And
totally.
when you're out
there, you have to be afraid.
You really do. I think you got to go into it with a more cautionary tale of I'm going into something, especially when it's bigger.
If you don't have a little bit of fear, it's gonna kick your ass.
That's fair to say.
Yeah. Right.
I want to talk about the men in your life. Now, I know that there are primarily 3, but 2 originally started on this journey. One of them named Frank the Artist, and the other Boris the Russian. These are your words, more or less. These 2 characters, when I followed up on them, I got to know a little bit about them, but I was hoping that you could share with us and the viewers today a little bit how colorful this relationship started and how you started this journey with these 2 men.
Oh my gosh. Well, they're just the most like they're the dearest people. I love them so much. But so I guess when I started my streak, I started surfing at the pier a little more often, and then I see like these two guys there all the time, and like one has a big mustache and one's kind of like a big guy, and I just hear his name is Boris. I'm like, that's kind of funny, I don't know. But then when I met them, I was just like I was so enamored with Frank as a person. If you see him, he's just got this like glorious mustache. Okay. The most like insane thing you've ever seen. It looks like he grooms it for like hours upon hours each day, but no, that's just like naturally how he is, you know. So I got to know them a little bit, and Frank is he's an instructor. He's like a surf coach for the Rondo surf team. Okay, cool. And he's kind of like that person that knows everybody, and he's very humble about it too. He's like super humble, but I call him my surf dad. He's my surf dad and my dear friend. But we'll be in El Salvador or something, and we'll be in like a kind of back alley street or something, and somebody will yell, "Hey, is that Frank Payne?" You know,
wow! All the way across the globe, someone knows that mustache, huh?
He's just like a very respected in the community, wonderful person, and I feel like so lucky to just like even know him. And so he would eat with Boris at Brothers like every morning, and I knew the people at Brothers, and I knew like I had gone in and out for burritos, and you know in the 5 years I hadn't been surfing and stuff, and so I kind of like knew the lay of the land a little bit. But I started surfing with them every morning, having breakfast with them every morning, and then it just kind of became like this cyclical routine thing, and I was like, wow, I'm like so happy. And these two like older guys, they're so great. Like I want them to be my friends, you know.
What an amazing tale, because just through default almost, these three people from all different backgrounds kind of meet at a common place. Burritos out of all places.
Burritos bring everybody together.
They really do.
But Boris is so funny. So he like, you know, wears Hollywood stuff, and so he doesn't look like a surfer whatsoever. But once he gets in the water, he is the most happy, like kiddish 40-something-year-old that you will ever see in your life. He's like, "Oh, Frank, did you see what I got? Oh, did you see my wave?" I don't know. They're
in my opinion, if you're having the most fun in the water, you're the best surfer in the water. Isn't that true?
Oh, for sure.
The last man I want to bring up in your life, I know there will be more, is a man by the name of, I hope I say this right, is it Jose Barahona?
Yes.
Forgive me, Jose Barahona. He's the head shaper over at Becker Surf Shop, is that correct? And he came late into the trio, as I found out later, to actually gift you with a wonderful gift. Can you tell my viewers this gift that he gave you, and the day that you actually received it, how you felt when you got it?
So the gift that he gave me on my, actually it was the 366th day because it was a leap year. Okay. So on my year mark at Becker Surfboards, there was like a little party, and it was
in honor of you. Is that what it was? Like, hey, we made it through a year, Morgan. Yeah. We're all here at Becker. Come on down.
I was so embarrassed.
So you don't like the attention pretty much then? Or are you kind of very modest when you're like, yes, thank you? Or were you excited to be like, hey, all my friends are here. I want to tell everybody.
No, I was like super excited to see everybody. I definitely, during that first year, was like, yay, I'm here, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. But it's not really my style to be like, look at me. I don't know. Like Instagram kind of makes it easy to just like post pictures and stuff, but then I'm like, oh, but I don't really like want that attention sometimes, you know. So
it's really no gray area in that. Is, you know, with social platforms comes with a lot of other people's opinions, which sometimes aren't always welcome, and it creates sometimes a negative environment. Yeah. What's your take on social media?
That's a great question. So as of right now, I haven't been super active myself. Like I guess post very infrequently right now, and I'm kind of like just taking a step back because I feel like everyone needs a breather from it every once in a while. Everyone needs a breather, and kind of just really try to enjoy those moments instead of like, you know, right?
Like, it really is. It's almost like an epidemic, I would say.
Especially for, I think, young girls right now, I think it's really important to turn your phones off sometimes. Just like, it's really taking away from those like special moments that are just like going to be in your memories forever. It is, however, like a really wonderful wonderful connective element too. So I mean, there's obviously a lot of downsides to it, and this is just my opinion.
Sure. I think you hit it right on the head, you know? At the ocean, you know, it's a place where you don't have to attach into something. There's no plug-in, and there's no, although they have cameras and GoPros and stuff like out there, it's just a place where you really get to ground yourself and, you know, connect one-on-one with Mother Nature and feel that real element. You know, it's very special too because the Hawaiians more or less started on longboards, and you know, I have this saying where in Hawaii they have aloha, but in California I believe that we call the broha.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
You know, let's talk about surfing in Hermosa Beach. And obviously that's your home break, and you were raised there as a little girl, and you've been in and out of water for so many years. It's a kind of wave where, you know, it's a beach break, and consistently throughout the year, it's not always on, but the days that it does turn on, how special was that wave?
Well, Hermosa, to me, it's the best shitty wave in the world. Like most days, by most people's standards, it sucks. Like it absolutely sucks. But we go out there and we have a good time every morning, no matter what. And but when it does turn on, it's like there's no place in the world I'd rather be. Right?
When I talk about longboarding, it's something that's almost so poetic, and it's just poetry in motion. When you see it, especially on video with the right surfer and the right music, it can be almost like such a form of art. What's your take on that?
I don't know. There's just so many different elements of surfing that kind of like come together, but longboarding is definitely.
Well, because I mean, again, with such a big floating device as a longboard, you're not as agile as someone with a surfboard or a bodyboard to go under some of these waves. And you know, when the waves come rolling in, especially out front, there's a lot of energy. And for those of people that have never surfed or have never experienced what it feels like to get tumbled by a wave, it's a lot, especially when you got a big 8-foot board, you know, underwater splashing around, and there's a lot of danger in that. Is it true that you not only was it Nicaragua or El Salvador that you got your first hang 10, but you also got your first concussion?
Oh yes, that was in Nicaragua actually. So
how did you get this concussion?
Gosh, we had caught so many waves. We had each probably caught like 50 waves or something.
So you were out for a little bit then.
We were out for a while, and so on like my last wave, we're like, okay, I'm just gonna get one more and go back to the boat. And I like start paddling for it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do one of these like funky, stupid tricks that this longboarder was doing in this video. And so I run up to the nose and try to do something super weird, and my board like slips out from under me. But then like somehow, like the wave catches it, and then it goes up in the air, and then I kind of look up, and the point of the board just comes straight down on my head.
Oh no! Oh my god!
And so I don't remember like a lot from what happened, but I remember being on the shore and people are asking me my name, and I couldn't answer.
You were really concussed, literally, in the water. Like, I mean, were you enough to where you knew you can paddle back in and get to safety, or?
So they got me into shore, and we had gotten to that beach break from the boat too.
Oh,
so
wow.
we weren't even we were super remote. There was like nothing around.
There's no hospital.
No buildings.
There's no first aid close, right?
No, there was no first aid or anything.
Oh my gosh, so scary.
They were able to get me back to the boat, and I like my ice for my head was like 2 full years.
Oh, no.
So.
You know, you've ridden really great. Are you able to stick around with us for a little bit longer?
Yeah.
We're going to play a few more games. We're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we're going to play another game. But I also want to talk about, you know, we've been talking about surfing quite a bit, and that's a good showcase what you're about. But I also want to get to know who Morgan SLIFF is as a person, who Morgan SLIFF is as the writer, and as the artist. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stick around. We'll be back with you guys in just a moment.